Uh, and early on, I ended up in foster care. So at 5 years old, I was in foster care. My mom put me up, and I remember her telling me something like when she was in her active addiction, she thought that was the best thing she could do for me because in New York she was watching people sell their kids. Understand? This is what she told me, right? So she said that she didn't want to be one of those people, but she knew she was stuck in her addiction so deep that she could see herself doing it. That's where I could have been. All right. So I ended up in the foster care, and my foster parents were great. I mean, really good family, Mount Vernon, New York. Um, and I had a lot of brothers and sisters. Um, I was always a withdrawn kid, um, outgoing as far as being personable, but never on a deep level, like friendly. You know what I mean? Just kind of always felt different, basically. Uh, I ended up getting through my foster family and going back to my mom when I was 12. And this is kind of where things got funky for me because from 5 to 12, I had a really good life. I mean, my foster family we had a pool, we had a house on the hill when we moved. We moved down to South Carolina. I mean, I was pretty much the rich kid, but my family didn't buy us a lot of things. But we had a lot of things, you know what I'm saying? Didn't want for nothing. 12 years old, my mom comes to me and she says, hey, do you want to move back home with me? I finally been clean long enough and the children and youth are going to let you come back with me. Do you want to do that? Um, I still wish I would have said no, but I was a kid and I wanted to be with my mom. My whole life I wanted to be with my mom. You know, so I said yeah, and I go and move back in with her, and she's still dealing with issues because she's an addict who's not using at this point, but she also doesn't have a program. She's not working any kind of program. She's cut off all of her help now that she's been clean long enough, and she's bipolar, manic depressive. Okay, so I'm dealing with her going up and down and back and forth, and I learned to surf that by mimicking it. So later on in life, they told me I'm bipolar. I don't take any pills or any drugs for bipolar or manic depressive, and I'm not saying that it's not something that exists. But what I learned was that my coping mechanism was for me to be able to move like she moved. So I had to always compensate for what would make her go off. So now I walk real lightly. I can never be myself. I was reactive. Understand? All of this is dealing with as I it all came down to some insecurities, basically. So when 12 years old, somebody introduced me to some weed, and I sat down and smoked. It was the greatest thing ever. I didn't feel insecure. I wasn't scared no more. I didn't have to care what you thought about me, which was the biggest thing. You know, it was a great escape, and I loved it. And I got to the point where I was like, I could never see myself without smoking weed, which didn't cause me any major issues at that point in time. I had moved out on my own when I was 15 because of the issues I was dealing with my mother, and I got a little room, and I was working and doing like a co-op situation where at school, in the Votech, they would let you work 2 weeks at a job, and then 1 week you had to come back to school. Basically, I didn't learn anything after school, and I had a job. But what it didn't allow me to do was make enough money to pay for my rent, food, and everything else for the rest of the month because that's not what it was made to do. And I remember going to the welfare office, and I had asked them to help me out so I could have enough food, and and they said to me that they would give me $11 a month. And I said, okay, forget your $11 a month. I'm gonna sell drugs. So I went out and started selling weed. Still wasn't a big problem in my life as far as I wasn't getting consequences off of it. It was actually serving a purpose in my life. I would smoke, I would drink, I would sell, and it fulfilled the need that I had in my life at the moment. This is important because
Hold it. Just hold it. I gotta fix the mic.
There was a moment when drugs and alcohol and selling and things like that didn't fulfill a need and became a problem. But at that point in time, yeah, I'm deep. Check.
Can everybody still hear him?
I can probably talk loud enough for y'all to hear me without a mic. It's just that the mic's up here, so. But so I used the tools that I had to be able to get by. At the moment, that's what I had to do. I didn't have to, I didn't have to smoke and use it. But I did what I did to survive, and it was working for the survival, the issues that I had. I remember having like hopes and dreams, right? And I never wanted to be the person I became. I knew what my dad was, I knew what my mom had became, and I was like, I would never do that. So in my mind, I said I was gonna find a career, I was gonna get married, I was gonna have a kid and be a dad that was in the home. These are the things that I had planned. And at 20, I had decided that I was gonna join the Navy. So I had the career. And I had a girl that I was dating. I asked her to marry me basically because I wanted to take her with me, right? And I was gonna save her and me at the same time for this deal that we had. And I asked her to marry me, and we got married. And shortly after, had a baby. And in the middle of all of that, and I was working on something really good. I'm selling coke, and I'm using coke. Next thing you know, a buddy of mine comes up and he asks me if I want to sell crack. And he gives me everything I need to sell crack. So now I'm not just selling coke, I'm selling crack. In the meantime, I'm not using crack, I'm using coke and weed and alcohol, and I'm not having any negative effects to where I'm selling all my stuff or losing everything. But one night I sat down with this girl, and it was somebody who I thought was a friend of mine. Like, you know how you have some tight friends, and at a moment, like they were getting into stuff I didn't know they were getting into, and I sat down and I smoked. She had a blunt with some crack in it, and I didn't know. I picked it up and I smoked it, and it was like it wasn't the feeling that got me. She came in and she said, "You smoked that?" And I said, "Yeah." She said, "That had such and such in it," and I'm like, "Yo, what am I going to do?" And she had a girlfriend, and her girlfriend comes in and says, "Here, hit this," and passes me a stem. I take a hit out the stem, and she said that was gonna make my eyes go away and I could go home and be normal. But it was like the best feeling I had ever had. 3 days straight, I spent my whole paycheck, and I started stealing stuff out of my house to keep going. So I knew that something was wrong, but I couldn't stop. So the next week, I'm like, maybe if I just give my paycheck to my girl, I'll just give it to her as soon as I get it, then I don't have to worry about doing this no more. And I did that. And then I come back in and I'm looking for money and I'm looking for stuff and then I'm selling stuff and I'm using it again. There goes my paycheck. Sometimes I don't even make it home. I did that for about 2 months on a weekend kind of basis, Friday, Saturday, and ended up with no paychecks. She was getting mad, rent's behind and all of that. And the last time I did it, now I'm just remembering this stuff off the top of my head, but I remember sitting in the car. It was right after 9/11. People had robbed, had jacked the planes with some box cutters. I was working in a grocery store, so I'm sitting in my car with 2 box cutters in my pockets, and I'm imagining myself robbing a gas station down the street. And it was pouring. It's like always pouring. Whenever I used, it was always pouring. I was always wet to my socks for some reason, right? But I'm pacing back and forth from like going down from the store down here all the way to the end of to 12th Street here, back and forth. I sit in my car and I'd be sitting there contemplating if I should rob this place, contemplating suicide, right? And I'm writing in the steam in the window. I remember sitting there writing my suicide note to my kid. And then I was like, forget that, I'm not gonna do suicide, I just gotta get one more. This is all over me getting another hit. This is all it was really about. Just for me to get another hit. So I walk back to the gas station and there's a police station right around the corner. I'm like, I can't jack this place. The police are gonna come get me before I can get my hit. Because really all it was about the hit. I was trying to figure out how I could get the money, run back before the police caught me so I could take one hit. Then they could take me. I just didn't want to get rid of that last one. That's the obsession, right? All right, so I'm gonna fast forward because there's a lot of stories in between all that. But I went to jail once for theft in between there, um, and it was like almost like a slap on the wrist. They gave me what's that called? Where they pretty much forgive your charges if you finish the program, ARD, right? And I was like, it really wasn't nothing to me, and I kept using it. I used 9 years, and I've done the math. So between 20, well, it was like 21 and 29 or something like that, 30. I may have used a year and a half out of the whole 9 years. Every other moment in between, I did 17 rehabs. I did to the point where they told me I can't go to rehab anymore. Pennsylvania doesn't have any money for you. That's what they told me. I did halfway houses. I did Hogarth Korea twice. Every moment in between there was me either in a recovery program type of deal or outside working a job and saying I'm gonna stay away, and I would work 4 jobs. Like I wasn't like, you know what I mean? I had to make everything back that I missed and I messed up for the last couple of years, so I wouldn't just pick up one job. I'd have 3. I'm working 80 and 90 hours a week, right? Because I'm trying to catch up. All the way up until, and this is staying clean, using, staying clean, using, staying clean, using. So I was, it was '09, November '09. I flipped. Like I never got violent. I've never hurt anybody as far as like, you know, I like to think I was never like that. When I got high, I like to hand out stuff. I'm like, here, yeah, I love you, take it. Like, I'm that guy, right? One night, it wasn't even night, in the middle of the day, my last run was me sitting in between a building like that, and there was a grocery store there, and I'm looking up thinking to myself, this dealer's got all these drugs upstairs. Why am I sitting down here with nothing? And I pick up 2 bricks and I'm banging on this dude's door. Alright? And at that point, I was totally desperate, totally hopeless, there was nothing to tell me to stop at this moment. I had lost it. I was actually seeing Grand Theft Auto stars in my head as I was going on my spree. Understand? This is how gone I was, right? And I would have killed the dude if he would open the door, and I would have been here for something different. But somebody else came in, and I ended up hitting them, and I robbed them. Ran down and robbed the store, and I went on a whole spree that I don't remember everything from. Like I can picture points and little things. I ended up in a river. Cops came and I jumped into a river off a bridge. I remember running down this bank and the cop pointed his gun at me, and I turned around to run. I banged my ribs off the rock. I mean, cause that's my first day in jail. I sat there with my ribs cracked up. I think they were broken because I could barely breathe or stand up straight. And I remember the bricks, the cinder blocks, and not feeling like it was real. Now they got me in the turtle suit that don't strap, right? Because they got the things on them, the elastic, what's that called? I don't know what that's called. The things that stick, but they don't stick no more. They just falling off. So I'm in a turtle suit standing in this room butt naked with cinder blocks, and it was cold. And I couldn't believe that because I knew what I did. I knew what I did, and I couldn't believe that I did it. And I would have never imagined that getting high would have took me there because I'd never been violent before. That was the day that I had learned that I can't control what happens when I put something in me. Like I can have a couple of good years where I don't do anything really crazy, but I don't know what's gonna happen the next time I put something in me. That's just my experience. I don't know what level I'm gonna go to. I don't know what it is that I'm putting in me actually. So I spent some time in jail, and I'm in this what's that called, the suicide room or whatever, and I didn't want to show my face. I don't think I was really suicidal after a little bit of time sitting in there. I think I just didn't want to go on the block and show my face to nobody. I didn't want nobody to see me. I was in jail. I was in jail for some. I don't know, man. But I know that I didn't want to go back out, and at one point I finally ended up talking to this lady. I'm picturing this, so excuse me if I'm like going, but this nurse that was bringing my meds came through and she said, "Hey, there's this block in the jail that they do drug treatment. You can go on. It's 1A in Allentown." She said the lady's got like 30 years clean. She can help you. She's helped a lot of people. And I still sat in the cell for a while, and miserable. And it stewed in my stuff, and then it hit me. Well, maybe I can get something. That little spark of hope, because that's what it takes, right? That little spark of hope. I needed somebody to tell me that there might be, could be, somehow be a way for me to be out. But I had been through 17 rehabs and a whole bunch of programs, so my experience was that there was nobody in this world that could help me. Because I had done programs before. You know what I'm saying? But that little bit of hope got me to 1A. I go to the block and I'm sitting around and I'm watching people, and it was an open block. There was like 4 beds and whatever in the same cell, And I'm talking to a couple guys that had been there for some time. It was only a 2-year program because I was still in the county. I didn't actually get arraigned and sentenced yet. And I'm watching dudes that have been there longer, talking to people just coming in, even me, and giving hope. I sat there and listened to people like that were there, talking to the people that were just coming in and telling them, "Hey, it gets better. You can do it. It'll be all right. Your family's gonna be okay." Right? These are people in jail. From what I had heard, everybody in jail was out to kill each other. Right? But I'm sitting there watching these people walk around, and I mean, it was a recovery environment. It wasn't like being on a regular block, and I was like, okay, this is a place where I can be useful. I didn't know if I would stop using outside. I couldn't have promised that to nobody. I didn't have it in my heart to even promise it to myself. What I did know was that I could be in this place and make a difference. And that's what I had learned from watching the other people do it. So I started walking around and saying good morning to everybody because they told me that I could make somebody's day different, right? I started smiling. When people wanted to talk, I started talking. During the meetings, I started taking it serious and being involved. This lady passed out step work pamphlets from one of the 12-step programs, and I was writing on them. I wrote my steps 1, 2, 3. I went through 1 3 times, 2 2 times, 3 2 times. You know what I'm saying? Because I had enough time to do it. I used her as my sponsor, and I didn't have a sponsor, but I knew she had a program. When people came in off the streets and said, "Hey, I had 5 years clean," I sat next to them. "What happened? How come you didn't stay? What do I need to do to stay?" And all of them was like, "Hey, listen, get involved in the program, help somebody. Write on your steps, get some support." And while I was there, I did that. I got sentenced to 4 to 10. I did a 4 to 10. I did 4. Now, in the meantime, mind you, I got 2 kids out on the street, and that's what I shared about a lot. I shared about my kids a lot. I shared about how I wanted to be home a lot. I am home, right? I got kids on the front row here. I got my baby boy, and the 2 that I'm talking about, they're with their moms up in Allentown right now. But I see them regularly at my house. I got family. You know what I mean? But I shared that about my kids a lot because when I hopped on the bus going upstate, I sat next to this dude who had went through a program with my mom almost 20 years before, and he knew me. Like, he knew me. He said, "Is your mom Cheryl?" I said, "What?" And he said, "Your mom is Cheryl, right?" And I said, "Yeah." He said, "You got a sister, Tiffany, right?" And I said, "Yeah." Like, now I'm weirded out because I don't know dude. And he's like, "Listen, when I was in the program, your mom was the one who would walk, because they had to be accountable with a partner when they would go to the meetings, and she would walk him out to the meetings. And I guess at the time, she would go to church and then let him run." And she said, "As long as you're back at the meeting, at the church, when I leave, you're okay." Right? But he remembered this stuff, and he remembered about me that I played baseball, and he was like, "Yeah, you were good at playing baseball. You like instruments. You got a trumpet. And you play trumpet." And I'm like, how does this dude remember me? 20 years. Which means my mom did a lot of talking when she was in the middle of trying to get clean. She was talking about how she wanted to be home. And I was like, I'm going to do that. I'm gonna remind myself every day that I'm here, waking up in this place because I want to get home to my kids, and I want to be a good father, something that I didn't have, right? Um, it's crazy because I'm home and I'm doing it. You know what I'm saying? And I didn't do it by myself. I didn't do it by myself. I went through state for my 4 years. I stayed involved in all the programs they had available. I talked to anybody who would talk to me positive. I talked positive to people who didn't want to hear positive, and then they left me alone. That's how I made it. I got out. Actually, inside Chap Bomberg was the chaplain, and he was connected with Jubilee, and I ended up coming out to Lebanon through Jubilee program, and got involved there. And at that point, I was in a different part of my recovery where I was trying to learn about God more. See, I had been clean, and God had stayed anonymous. This is something that's deep. I had read this book, and I'm gonna give it to you because it touched me. God is okay with sitting inside of program type environments and being anonymous. He's okay with being anonymous until you get to know him. Alright? So like anybody who says you need to know whatever name and say all of this stuff, don't worry about it. Just know that there's some good force out there that's willing to help you. That's what I believed in, and I believed in it because the people were around me. The evidence was in the people that were talking to me and trying to get me to do better. In all of the programs that I had went to. So I go through Jubilee and I do my I think it was almost a year and a half that I had to do in Jubilee at the time. And then after graduating, everybody's like, well, you leaving, you going back home? And I was like, no. They had another part of the program, which was like an aftercare program. You got to go to the house. And I moved into the house, and everybody's like, that's crazy. You don't get to do what you want to do. And at this point, I was cool with not doing what I want to do because I didn't know what I was going to do. I wanted to help, and they were giving me the help, and I said, I'm not rushing back to anything good. I'm doing good now. Why mess it up? So I go through the program there. I meet a couple of really good people who are still in my life. And I stayed involved in Jubilee after I got out of that program. And I continued to come back and bring the message because they told me, look, today, I will swear to you I didn't want to come. Everything in me, no, I love the idea of what's going on. I didn't want to come because I didn't really want to share. I get all nervous. I'm like, I don't know if I got anything really to say, blah, blah, blah. But they told me, they said that staying clean depended on me giving away what I had. I can't keep it unless I give it away. So whenever anybody said to me, hey, do you want to come and share? I say yes. I clear my schedule and I show up. My mom had been clean for 17 years. When I was home, when I came back with her, she had 17 years in between. And she used. Okay? And me personally, I blame it on the fact that she wasn't giving anything back. I don't know if that's the truth. I'm not up here claiming that that's why she went back. I don't know what she went back for. But from what I seen and from what I heard, they told me that I can't keep it unless I give it away. And she was one of those people who got it and then took it and ran. And I don't ever want to become a person that takes it for granted. That little bit of hope that brought me into 1A, that little bit of hope that kept me coming back into the rooms and to all types of recovery programs and then saying I need help. That little bit of hope, hopefully somebody can get that from me. Today I'm sitting here with my kids. I got a job. They made me a manager. I was running a recovery house just down the street a little while ago. I actually have 2 jobs. I'm not rich by far, but I'm rich by spirit. I have peace of mind. Things are going well. You know? And even when they're not going well, they're not as bad as they used to be. and I'm good with that. You know, I know that there's no reason for me to be able to stand up here and tell you that I made myself clean. Because I still don't understand why I'm clean to this day. And I don't do everything right that they told me in the program. I'm not a saint because all of a sudden I got drugs out of my system. I don't understand fully why I'm still here today. So I give that to God. What I do know is that there were certain things that they told me that I couldn't do. I couldn't put the first one in me or I'm gonna have a problem. The first one is gonna take me down. so I don't use the first one. Stay away from some certain people, places, and things. And I go to some people, places, and things when I need them. That's what's keeping me safe. You know? Thanks for letting me share, guys. I hope y'all have fun.